Battery included. No intercessor or a mediator needed. Only love, which springs forth from within, from the eternal Father of love, is real. Don't be too confident when someone tells you they love you. The real question is, until when? Because just like the seasons, people change. The whole focus of this thought, frequently posted and reposted on the internet, is wrong. As long as the individual is focused on getting love from others, only a life of disappointment, abandonment, loneliness, and despair awaits. It is when the individual finally discovers that no true love can come from the outside from another, but must spring up from inside, from the eternal source of love, that the focus shifts from the getting of love to the giving of love, regardless of whether one is loved by others, or not. Nor does it any longer matter, because it is in the living of a life of giving of one's love without qualification and without reservation, wherein the individual discovers the deep spiritual joy of knowing love as an eternal spiritual value, which can never be destroyed, never taken away, and never ends. If you never experience the disappointment, abandonment, loneliness, and despair which arises from having a selfish focus and bent on getting and taking love from another, or from anyone and everyone who will give love to you, repeating this broken pattern over and over until you get it, how would you ever come to know that true love, lasting love, even eternal love, must take root and grow up from inside you? You cannot truly love your fellows by a mere act of the will. Love is only born of thoroughgoing understanding of your neighbor's motives and sentiments. It is not so important to love all men today, as it is that each day you learn to love one more human being. If each day or each week you achieve an understanding of one more of your fellows, and if this is the limit of your ability, then you are certainly socializing and truly spiritualizing your personality. Love is infectious, and when human devotion is intelligent and wise, love is more catching than hate. But only genuine and unselfish love is truly contagious. If each mortal could only become the dynamic focus of affection, this benign virus of love would soon pervade the sentimental emotion stream of humanity to such an extent that all civilization would be encompassed by love. And that would be the realization of the brotherhood, sisterhood of humankind in the universe family of the eternal source of love, the Paradise Father. Meditate upon the following passages from the life and teachings of Jesus in the Urantia Book. Father, forgive them. The triumph of the death on the cross is all summed up in the spirit of Jesus' attitude towards those who assailed him. He made the cross an eternal symbol of the triumph of love over hate and the victory of truth over evil when he prayed, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That devotion of love was contagious throughout a vast universe. Greater love can no man have than this, that he would be willing to lay down his life for his friends. And Jesus had such a love that he was willing to lay down his life for his enemies, a love greater than any which had hitherto been known on earth. On other worlds, as well as on Urantia, this sublime spectacle of the death of the human Jesus on the cross of Golgotha has stirred the emotions of mortals, while it has aroused the highest devotion of the angels. The New Commandment. After a few moments of informal conversation, Jesus stood up and said, "When I enacted for you a parable indicating how you should be willing to serve one another, I said that I desired to give you a new commandment, and I would do this now as I am about to leave you. You well know the commandment which directs that you love one another, and that you love your neighbor even as yourself. But I am not wholly satisfied with even that sincere devotion on the part of my children. I would have you perform still greater acts of love in the kingdom of the believing brotherhood. And so I give you this new commandment, that you love one another even as I have loved you. And by this all men know that you are my disciples, if you thus love one another. When I give you this new commandment, I do not place any new burden upon your souls. Rather do I bring you new joy and make it possible for you to experience new pleasure in knowing the delights of the bestowal of your heart's affection upon your fellow men. I am about to experience the supreme joy, even though enduring outward sorrow, in the bestowal of my affection upon you and your mortals. When I invite you to love one another, even as I have loved you, I hold up before you the supreme measure of true affection. For greater love can no man have than this, that he will lay down his life for his friends. And you are my friends. You will continue to be my friends, if you are but willing to do what I have taught you. You have called me master, but I do not call you servants. If you will only love one another as I am loving you, you shall be my friends, and I will ever speak to you of that which the Father reveals to me. You have not merely chosen me, but I have also chosen you. And I have ordained you to go forth into the world to yield the fruit of loving service to your fellows, even as I have lived among you and revealed the Father to you. The Father and I will both work with you, and you shall experience the divine fullness of joy if you will only obey my command to love one another, even as I have loved you. If you would share the Master's joy, you must share his love. And to share his love means that you have shared his service. Such an experience of love does not deliver you from the difficulties of this world. It does not create a new world, but it most certainly does make the old world new. Keep in mind, it is loyalty, not sacrifice, that Jesus demands. The consciousness of sacrifice implies the absence of that wholehearted affection, which would have made such a loving service a supreme joy. The idea of duty signifies that you are servant-minded, and hence you are missing the mighty thrill of doing your service as a friend and for a friend. The impulse of friendship transcends all convictions of duty, and the service of a friend for a friend can never be called a sacrifice. The Master has taught the apostles that they are the sons of God. He called them brethren, and now, before he leaves, he calls them his friends. There are actually 7 psychic realms of the upward grasp of the material mind of the living machine in trying to ascend above the level of animal fear. Few persons live up to the faith which they really have. Fear is a master intellectual fraud practiced upon the evolving mortal soul. The human individual as a child almost always starts from a place of fear, of the unknown, the inexplicable, and the incomprehensible. Many, however, never ascend beyond the level of fear throughout the whole of their lifetimes. The atheist believes in the copycat philosophy that there is no God, because he is, at the most fundamental motor level of stimulus response, afraid. A scared little embryonic mind which refuses to grow beyond his or her fears, especially those of being wrong. The love which springs forth eternal from within is a powerfully transforming force. When once an individual mind embraces spiritual love, leaving all animal fears behind, the old self, the fear self, dies. Through the transformation of potentials into actuals, from the material to the semi-spiritual. The material mind of the living machine inherently senses this, intuitively knows this, and has every right to be afraid of such an all-consuming transformation into the superconscious mind, the soul-conscious mind, which slowly but surely becomes so consumed in the giving of love as opposed to the selfish taking of love. A life of self-forgetfulness witnesses the complete transformation of the individual into a dynamic force for goodness experiencing and truth discerning, and the transcendent conduit for the virus of unselfish and loving service, which inevitably infects, spreads into the mainstream of humanity. A fragment of God's Spirit, an absolute and divinely loving fragment of His Spirit, actually indwells the mortal mind. Man and God are directly connected. When you buy a technology device which runs on batteries, you will see the statement in the labeling, batteries included or batteries not included. At the level of the living human machine, one battery is all that is needed, and that battery is included. It is the thought adjuster, thought attuner, the divinely loving gift of soul ascension potential, which directly connects man and God. Battery included, no intercessor or mediator needed. What I am referring to is fixed and dogmatic beliefs versus liberating and expanding living faith. There is no dogma attached to what I have told you. There is no intercessor or mediator in this spiritual philosophy. God and man are directly connected by the divinely loving and absolute spirit light fragment which He sends to indwell and guide the minds of His mortal children. And this absolute spirit light fragment is the living hope of the individual's ascension above the mechanical being of animal origin. The hope of the individual's survival in the soul onward, beyond the mortal experience, into the semi-spiritual and spiritual worlds to come. The battery that is included with the human individual mind experience, by the way, is an eternal battery. It never runs down. I would leave you with this story from the teachings of Jesus in the Urantia Book. The intervention. While tarrying at the ship landing, waiting for the boat to unload cargo, the travelers observed a man mistreating his wife. As was his custom, Jesus intervened in behalf of the person subjected to attack. When Jesus led him to one side, he said, "My friend, I perceive that something terrible must have happened to you. I very much desire that you tell me what could happen to such a strong man to lead him to attack his wife, the mother of his children. What did the woman do to deserve such treatment from her husband?" It was not so much what he said that touched this man's heart. As the kindly look and the sympathetic smile which Jesus bestowed upon him. Said the man, "I am thankful you restrained me. My wife has done no great wrong. She is a good woman, but she irritates me by the manner in which she picks on me in public, and I lose my temper. I am sorry for my lack of self-control." And then in bidding him farewell, Jesus said, "Your wife has engaged to go through life with you, to help you fight its battles, and to assume the far greater share of the burden of bearing and rearing your children. And in return for this special service, it is only fair that she receive from you that special protection which man can give to woman." As they went on board the boat, they looked back upon the scene of the teary-eyed couple standing in silent embrace. Read the rest of this story and more in the Urantia Book in paper 133, section 2 of the Life and Teachings of Jesus. And thank you, my friends, for listening.